So, we'll just go straight to our knowledge topic. So, as I said, we've got Meaghan and Claire here. So, Meaghan Burkett's the Executive Director and Chair of the Board of Directors for Ethical Fields, and Meaghan specialises in community wealth building policy, strategy capability, and building and action planning with communities. And Claire Parks is a regular COP member and is the Business Development Manager for Local Land Services in New South Wales, working out of the North Coast LLS. So Ethical Fields, in partnership with Local Land Services, has developed and delivered the Environmental Markets Leadership Program in New South Wales over the past 2 years. And the program is really a first of its kind in Australia and was designed to inspire and support landholders to participate in natural capital and environmental markets. And so there's a couple of people in the room that have been participants of this program. I was lucky enough to be involved in the rollout of this program. So I'll hand over to Meaghan and Claire to tell us what it was all about and how it's gone.
Yeah, thanks so much, Rachel. Excuse me. Good to be here with Claire and all of yourselves. Nice to meet you. Mostly new faces for me, but some familiar faces. So Rachel's already introduced me. So one of the directors at Ethical Fields, working community wealth building and also environmental markets. So I will just get straight into it and get started. I've got some slides to share with you today, and Claire and myself are both going to kind of share different elements and insights that we felt might be relevant. So I'll start sharing those slides with you now. Yeah, so I'm here to give you a bit of an overview of what the Environmental Market Leadership Program is all about, and what some of the influence and impact that we've seen it's been having in New South Wales. So I guess just we'll cover three broad things. So we thought we'd give you a bit of an overview, and then I'm going to hand over to Claire just to speak to the New South Wales LLS role and the insights that they've had from the program. And then we'll both give you a bit of a perspective on, where to next and what we think the opportunities might be that will evolve from this program. So in terms of an overview, I guess the Environmental Market Leadership Program for land managers and farmers was really designed to inspire and equip this network of land managers and farmers to play a leading and entrepreneurial role in environmental markets. As part of that, it's there to provide them skills, confidence and networks to identify, market and really benefit from natural capital and environmental services that they might already generate or that they might seek to generate in the future. It wasn't necessarily the full intention at the start, but we've realised that the program really has strong benefits for NRM and related offices and agencies. So for those working, with an NRM agency or similar, we've found that the EMLP really is available to inspire and equip those individuals and agencies with knowledge, confidence, a framework, but also supporting research resources to support land managers and farmers in their role. So what's included? There's it's actually 6 key elements that make up the EMLP. So there's behaviour change research, monitoring and evaluation that occurs as part of it. There's an environmental markets leadership network that gets created and really continues through the life of the program. There's an environmental markets leadership course that has been designed, developed and has been used with all of the participants in the program. There's an environmental markets plan that mirrors that course that helps land managers and farmers to really step out what their environmental market and natural capital journey might look like. And then as part of that, the network comes together for meetups, for social networking, for workshops to really share and connect and learn how they're going. And then, of course, alongside all of that is this ongoing support from New South Wales LLS NRM offices and agencies in the New South Wales program, of course. So really helping them to take the steps that they need to take. So this is gives you a picture of the EMLP journey that people go on when they participate. So it's roughly a 2 to 3 year program for participants. It starts off, of course, with onboarding and bringing people together into that network and into the program. Then, of course, kicking it off and helping that network to build together and to understand and know each other and start to build some relationships. Those participants then work through the environmental markets course individually. So that's an online course that they're doing in their own time when it suits them, and then coming together to share and learn as they're working through that environmental markets course. In years sort of 2 and 3, then the focus then shifts more to, I guess, implementing and adopting what they've learnt through that environmental markets course. So that's through those network meetups, starting to develop and sort of learn about their environmental market plan. And of course, doing all of that through this sort of ongoing support. I guess really importantly is to share a little bit about what sets this program apart from others. So this program is so much more than just getting land managers and farmers to sign up to existing markets. So a few of the things that we think are really important that have been built into the design and the way the program operates, I'll just go through them now. So one is integration. So it's very much about trying to combine natural capital with natural resource management with environmental markets. So how do these link together? How can you leverage what you're already doing in NRM and bring in environmental markets in a way that makes sense for your clients? It takes a holistic approach. So it's looking at natural capital holistically. So not just looking at carbon, not just looking at particular areas, biodiversity. It's like saying, what are all of the natural capital opportunities that may be available to you? And what are all of the environmental market approaches that might be available? So the other one is leadership. So it's very much about empowering those land managers and those farmers and the NRM officers to play a more leading role in this space. The next one is around entrepreneurship. So we know that if we're going to kind of kickstart environmental markets and see more in this space, then we do need more entrepreneurship. So the program is very much about supporting land managers and farmers and you as officers to increase that market activity, and also to improve and advance NRM and market activity through innovation. Another one that's really quite important in the design is called community wealth building. So community wealth building is all about ensuring that the wealth created from markets is reinvested back into local communities and businesses. So environmental markets and markets by their nature are going to create whole new streams of wealth moving through society, moving globally. And so I guess we want to create environmental markets that see that wealth staying in Australia and seeing it staying in the regions where it's created. And the final one is behaviour change and system change. So very much built in the program is how do we achieve this through actual changes in behaviour and then changes in the systems that support it. I guess why is this model, and why are those things so essential? You know, why is this program so essential from our perspective? And ultimately that's that the more that land managers and farmers are involved in natural capital and environmental markets, the better the outcomes. So some of those things are, of course, greater diversity of ideas and solutions, getting more market options and pathways to participate, so regulatory and voluntary, increased user influence and control, better design and operation of mechanisms, more land managers and farmers participating, and ultimately better outcomes. So I'll move through these quickly, but I guess some of the immediate outcomes the program was anticipating and we're starting to see are things like new knowledge and skills, increased understanding about the opportunities, feeling inspired by the opportunities, feeling supported and encouraged to by their network members, and of course increased capability and confidence to really participate. Where we hope all of that will go in the medium term is sustained participation in the network, which we are seeing. We are hoping that that will build environmental market readiness broadly, which will then lead to environmental market entry, so those people participating in environmental markets. And of course, this other important space around innovation and entrepreneurship and leadership, so creating new market opportunities that don't already exist or improving the ones that do. And then, of course, in the long term, you know, what we're really hoping to see are positive on-farm outcomes, so that these activities are creating increased farm health, resilience and productivity, and of course also those environmental outcomes, so seeing these positive effects then towards the environment and regeneration. In terms of the New South Wales EMLP, the progress and the impact. So involved in the New South Wales one, it's been a collaboration between ourselves, Local Land Services, Behaviour Works Australia, and JBAS Consulting, who helped develop that course, and really want to acknowledge as well that the New South Wales Environmental Trust, through their Environmental Education's grant program, provided funding to help develop the program. So in how it's rolled out, so we've had 125 land managers, farmers and NRM officers from across Australia that signed up and successfully got into the program. Over the last 18 months, of course, you see a bit of, you see people dropping away, but really excitingly in the last 2 months, we've had 75 of those people recommit to participate in this final year of the program. So that's a really positive indicator that they're seeing value from the program. You'll see here a bit of a sense of who's participating. So we opened it up to all of these different groups, and we're seeing primarily primary producers and farmers participating. So I imagine for a lot of you, that's your key target audience and constituents, but also some others as well. And what we're seeing is primarily those that joined up are not currently participating in natural capital or environmental markets, but would like to in the future. So a really great cohort to work with. Not currently, but would like to. Just to finally wrap this up, I guess a few of the impacts we're seeing and hearing it from their own voices. So we're seeing new knowledge in environmental markets. So here's someone saying, I've learned so much. There are a wealth of opportunities I might explore on my property, few of which I understood with any detail before the course and program. Someone else saying, I now feel like I have a significantly better understanding and can grasp what opportunities might be best for me. In the space of new networks with other environmental market interested landholders, someone shared that I've met a lot of like-minded people who have encouraged me to try new things. I've enjoyed meeting the other people in the meetups and learning about how they are engaging with environmental markets. In terms of building confidence, I can now identify an environmental market opportunity on my property and feel more confident to approach potential buyers. And market innovation. I've learnt that environmental markets are new and emerging, and there's opportunities for us to create new markets that don't currently exist. And in the entrepreneurship and leadership space, my takeaway is that farmers can actually influence the environmental market process rather than let corporations and others set the agenda and price. And someone else said, if we all became better informed and lead this as a professional sector, we'd be given more credit as the business people that we actually are. So there is an extensive monitoring and evaluation program, but we won't see the results of that until next year. But I guess that's some, really lovely anecdotal feedback on the impact it's had for some of the participants. So I'm going to stop sharing there and hand over to Claire to talk about how LLS, the insights for LLS and how they've been playing out. Thanks, Claire.
Thanks, Meaghan. That was a great snapshot of the program. Thank you. I'm here to talk about what LLS has learned, and I just want to reiterate some of those landholder comments. Is that for LLS, it has been extremely timely. This program, it's been going for maybe it's almost 3 years now, or 2 years. It's been going for quite a while, but so much of that time has been around development of the course and development of some of the intellectual material behind it. But it's been timely for Local Land Services because we're about to embark on an expansion of our services to landholders in New South Wales around natural capital. So it's really run in parallel with us developing our own ideas about what our role is for our farmers and land managers in New South Wales. So I will share my screen. Now, I'm rusty on Zoom. Okay, I think you've probably got that now. Thumbs up, Meaghan, or Rachel, I can only see you two. Yep. Okay, so some of the insights, and I want to talk to you about some of these things, and then I'm going to go into a few concepts that have really resonated with us in local land services and land manager participants. But first of all, these insights, as you look at them, are pretty self-evident, and a lot of us who have been working in this space know these things, but it was really good to have these things emphasised through us and our learning through this program. And I'm just going to say them for the record because they're still important and they will continue to be important for a couple of years to come. So the program showed us that overall whilst we had some really aspirational goals where we wanted to get the participants to, we wanted them to be at the end empowered and leading the development of environmental markets. That was a very aspirational goal because overall, in general, there is a fairly low base level of awareness and understanding amongst landholders of the opportunities in environmental markets. It's a new language from them. There's a lot of work to be done with explaining the language, explaining the concepts, raising awareness of what is possible. I think we all know that around the country. The other insight was LLS staff were participants in the program. There was one from each of our 11 LLS regions, and the role of those staff was to link and learn. So it was to learn alongside the land manager participants because, like land managers, our staff also have a low level of understanding of environmental markets, although that has grown immensely in the last couple of years. So this program has been fantastic for building the capability of our own staff. And that is absolutely necessary if we are to go out there. This is self-evident, but if we are to go out there and be advising and extending information out to farmers and land managers, we need to have our staff as confident as possible in what they're talking about. And so this program has been a really great way to build the capability of our staff. There is a course, and we might talk about this at the end. The course is available now for anyone to sign on to. And local land service is going to be using that in the future to build up our staff as they grow in this area. The program was, the third insight there is that we were working with an online delivery model because we were running it statewide across the whole of New South Wales. We were, it is predominantly online, remote, with online meetups for the participants. We did design into the program the intention that regional LLS staff would be able to convene local groups, but that hasn't really eventuated for various reasons. But it is obvious that we need a variety of engagement mechanisms and delivery mechanisms in this area of environmental markets capacity building. So online delivery can work in some cases, but not for all participants. And the most fundamental thing for me, I think, in the program leadership role that I have is that this program has taken a holistic view, like Meaghan mentioned, of looking at this across all natural assets, not just carbon and the services to manage carbon, or not just biodiversity. It really looks across the whole natural asset base, and I'm going to show you how it does that. And that's really resonated strongly with land managers. Like Meaghan had a quote in there of, we didn't realise the range of opportunities for us and the actions that we're taking to manage natural capital. So I'll just show you, I'll just go to next a couple of the kind of concepts that are underpinnings of the Environmental Markets Leadership course. Ethical Fields and the project team worked really hard at the start of the course to get these, to do the work on the thinking, and they've worked really well with our land manager participants. This is a bit conceptual, but what this is saying is when we talk about natural capital, we're not just talking about natural assets. We're not just talking about ecosystem services. We're talking, the thing that is of most relevance to land managers is this central part of this flow here, which is environmental services. And as this program and the course defines, is that environmental services are the things and the actions that are created by people that might have a value to society. So this program and the way we're thinking of it now in LLS puts aside, no, it doesn't put aside, ecosystem services, which we often use in people who have studied environmental science or who are involved in NRM use ecosystem services quite a lot as a concept. However, that as a concept is quite hard for land managers to understand. But what is easy to understand is the actions that they can take to better manage their natural assets, to better deliver ecosystem services. So it's the environmental services is about the actions that people take and the things that they can influence. And this diagram worked really well with farmer and land manager participants, as here is an example of all the different types of environmental services that you could be undertaking on the property that you manage, and potentially have a value to society and potentially could have an environmental market created. So these are largely framed as actions, so revegetating and protecting riparian zones, undertaking works to manage floods, protecting cultural significant areas. They are the things that farmers and land managers can do that will have a value, and these are the things that they could potentially market in different ways. So that's a concept that's really worked very well, and we are building it into our own natural capital services. The other concept and the value of this program is that holistic and integrated approach to viewing opportunities to realise a return from the management of natural capital. It's not just about the markets, the tradable permits and the markets that are created around those. There are a variety of strategies that a land manager could employ or could take advantage of, or a variety of opportunities that they can take advantage of to realise a return from their management of natural capital. So in the brown, the trading, that's environmental markets that we know, carbon and biodiversity markets. But for example, in the business strategies opportunity, that we all know that there are opportunities for land managers to realise a return from marketing their sustainable production practices, or they might realise a return through solidifying their market share or expanding it. We also know, we've heard many times in this community of practice about the opportunities that are available, potentially growing in sustainable finance, that yellow one up the top. So this idea that there are not just, if you're a land manager, you don't just have to think about carbon and biodiversity markets. There's a range of ways that you could realise a return. That's been critical as well and has been well received, and that's related to the comment that Meaghan put up earlier. I didn't realise there were so many opportunities for me. What's next? We are continuing to work on this program for the next year, and in parallel, Local Land Services is developing its own natural capital program. And these are the kind of services, we call them services in New South Wales, very different to other states, I know, but these are the kind of things that we are going to be offering to land managers in New South Wales. In particular, the on-farm natural capital assessments is very, it's informed by the work that's coming out of the Environmental Markets Leadership Program, which is about working with land managers to identify what natural assets they have on their properties, what are some of the ecosystem services and environmental services there, and what are the potential benefits and values. So we're working through that in the EMLP, and we're also developing our own specific offering for landholders there. I won't go into that too much. That's not what we're here to talk about today, but I just wanted to let you know that the EMLP and our participation in it has informed what we're doing in New South Wales. And also the EMLP and the intellectual, some of the concepts that have been developed by Ethical Fields and the project team are now in some fact sheets that we've got on our website. That middle block there, what are the opportunities for landholders? So there's a few fact sheets there about those opportunities that I discussed. There's a fact sheet there about environmental services and natural capital and what those terms actually mean. So feel free to have a look on our website and grab those and use them or adapt them. And What's next? Nothing. That was, I need to stop sharing. So yeah, overall, the EMLP has been very valuable for local land services. We are about to onboard 10 new staff across the state, and they will be called natural capital advisors. We're looking at the EMLP, the course, the training program, to think about how we can skill up those natural capital advisors in this space and give them the confidence to go out there and support farmers and land managers. So I'm going to hand back over to Meaghan in case you wanted to add anything, what next from your end.
Yeah, thanks, Claire. Always great to hear the influence and the impact. I guess just in context for this group, with the short timing, we won't go into a lot of detail around the learning and adaptations. Claire's definitely spoke to some of those insights, but there's a whole range of program design learnings we've figured out. Claire talked about figuring out when online can work and maybe when it doesn't. Program delivery learnings, so things like how to create smaller and more intimate groups and how to make that work, and really importantly those policy learnings. So if anyone's interested in finding out a bit more about what we learn and how we're adapting things to think about your own programs and things, then by all means get in touch and speak to Claire or I. In terms of we've got 1 year left, so 2024 is going to be fun and exciting. So to give you a little bit of a taste where we're going, we're going to be stepping through these key 6 steps for land managers and farmers. So we've already done this step 1, identify natural assets. So we've got some really fascinating insights back from that. They've all stepped that through and identified the natural assets and ecosystem services and environmental services. And then we're going to step through these next ones. So determining who are the benefits and the beneficiaries of the assets and ecosystem services and environmental services they identified. Then exploring what the existing market options might be available for those, exploring those innovative market options, and then looking at how they can enter in those market opportunities. And then at the end of the year, we'll have a lovely celebration. So yeah, it'd be great to come back at the end of the year and sort of, share with you what's been learnt by that final year as well, because it should be great. And then, yeah, just building on what Claire shared. So, opportunities to leverage the learnings and the program. So this was a pilot program. As we understand, this sort of still the first of its kind and still, offering a gap. So we'd love to see, the program, the design, the resources and the materials be leveraged and used in the same way that LLS use them to create their fact sheets. We'd really love to see it expand from there. So for all of you, the behaviour change reports that were done are available, so you can access those immediately and learn from those. There's now a public course that's been created and is being offered to anyone. So that's for land managers and farmers, but also for NRM officers. We're also really interested in ways to replicate, adapt or scale the EMLP. So it could absolutely be kind of adapted or replicated in your regions. Or yeah, we'd love to see it scaled. We'd love to see a national EMLP program and network happening. And yeah, starting to talk with LLS now around NRM officer training and resources. And yeah, just put our other there. This was funded by a grant. And so it's always really good to get the most out of these things that we can. So if you have other ideas about how to get the most out of what's being done, then yeah, really love to explore them. And stop there and hand back to you, Rachel. Thank you.
Great, thanks so much, Meaghan and Claire. That was a really great overview of that course. It sounds like it's been a lot of work gone into the development of the materials and delivery of the course by a lot of different people. So yeah, thanks for bringing that together for us. Are there questions from people in the COP about the course? Chris Norman's got his hand up. I'll go to Chris. Thanks, Chris.
Sorry, Rachel. Always someone ask the first question, or Rachel, or some of the others from Victoria. Often Rhiannon asks questions too, but I'll go first again. Fantastic presentation. It's really congratulations, Claire, for where you guys are at. I'm very envious from where we started, but we've got nowhere near the state backing to get anywhere near where you guys are. And I guess I've got hundreds of questions, but maybe me answer the first one is, the opportunity for making this more than just New South Wales. I'd love to see it go broader. That's maybe a statement rather than a question. So if we can work with you to make it go broader than just New South Wales, would be fantastic. I'm confused why you use the word environmental services and ecosystem services. So for me, that completely confuses it. Why isn't it environmental activities and ecosystem services? I'll leave that one. But my most important question was the funding. So it's funded through a grant, but does it become fee for service for landholders to do the environmental markets planning with you guys, etc.? Is it end up being a fee for service, or does the grant just cover all the costs for a period of time?
Want me to answer that, Meaghan? Yep.
Yeah, go for it, Claire, and then I can jump in on the other two. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's to develop the program and deliver it is funded by the Environmental Trust, very low budget program. We didn't have much money. There's been a lot of in-kind put in by Ethical Fields. Yes, that is for free for the participants in the program, which goes until September next year. And then beyond that, LLS will be providing services that are similar to what have been delivered in the program, and they will be free as well to New South Wales farmers and land managers. Yes. Funded by the New South Wales government or the LLS budget. Yep.
Yeah, thanks, Claire. And Chris, just in terms of scaling, yeah, so I guess we'd love to see that happen. It just comes down to, I think it might be different, different regions or others in terms of how to fund it. It can be adapted at a smaller scale and at a regional scale, or it can be, a statewide initiative like LLS did. The sort of resources are all there and the materials are there. So doing it again, of course, will be cheaper than the development side of it, unless there's like big adaptations. In terms of why environmental services, I'd just love to mention on that, but there was really a lot of discussion and thinking that went in behind that. And I guess the intention came back to some of those design principles that we talked about. And really it's thinking about from a policy perspective of where do we want this to go, and how do we best incentivize, acknowledge and recognise the role that land managers and farmers play in the natural capital process. And so I guess it's very much to say, well, ecosystem services are the things that the environment's doing. That's a service the environment's providing. But what is the service that land managers and farmers are providing in the space of natural capital? And it very much is a service. They're providing a service to society. If land managers and farmers are undertaking activities that repair, restore, protect, conserve natural assets and ecosystem services, then that's an environmental service to society. There is already an industry in Australia called environmental services. So it relates to things like waste management. So managing waste is considered an environmental service. Things like, looking at groundwater contamination or environmental improvement is environmental services. And this is to say, well, these activities are services too. And by framing it in that way, it also helps it to become an industry, of its own, and to be really recognised about the value and the impact that industry could create. So it could be an industry on its own, or absolutely an industry that's integrated with existing farming and land management as it happens as well. So I hope that's a bit useful.
Thanks very much, Meaghan. Do we have some other questions? I know I've touched on this question before with Meaghan and possibly with Claire as well, but I think that you guys were considering whether or not you might run it out sort of face-to-face in some regions, or whether it was, I guess, adaptable to the, I guess, sort of more of a workshop, like face-to-face workshop format as well. So I was just wondering if you could comment on that.
Yes, I'll just say it's absolutely adaptable. And yeah, we're open to doing that if that's kind of a better model for what people are looking for. But Claire, I might just let you speak to, some thoughts and plans that LLS has for the future around that.
I'm not sure I have very strong thoughts and plans, but we know that, this needs to be this kind of extension and advice activity that NRM regional bodies like ours do are generally best face-to-face. Online can work for some, depending on your land manager segments, but yeah, we hope to not necessarily customise exactly what has been developed under here, but we're definitely drawing on a lot of the content for where we're going with our natural capital program.
Great, thanks, Claire. Robin's from Southwest, you've got your hand up. Thanks, Robin.
Yep, and Peter Clifton here with Robin.
G'day, Peter.
Hi. Just to ask, was the course, is it delivered live online, or is it recordings that people can watch in their own time? And sort of what was it? If it's one or the other, what was the reasoning behind doing one of those methods?
Yeah, thanks, Robin. And Peter, sorry, Peter. So it's a bit of a combination of things. So the way I guess it was designed was how could it have the greatest reach? So because it was a smallish grant, it was to think how can we have the greatest reach with the funding that we have. So in that way, the thinking was to trial an online course. I guess the other benefit of the online course is that you know, they can come back to it in their own time. It can reach obviously a greater amount of people. And they've got access to it, you know, for the whole 3 years. So, you know, they can keep coming back to it and keep coming back to materials. So it included the online component using an online learning management system called Thinkific. There's lots of them. And so, yeah, it's standard sort of e-course style. But it also includes, I guess, a range of links to other kind of materials that are already online. We integrated with the course, so there's a number of modules in the course, but in between that they were working through those at their own pace. We held a number of live online get-togethers and workshops to sort of check in and reflect on what they were learning, to discuss what they were learning and to do a bit of processing of that. And so it was kind of a little bit of both. The idea and the intention was that each region across New South Wales, the LLS officer would also be meeting with and potentially bringing them together face-to-face or even online, you know, to do that sort of more face-to-face and smaller group learning. That didn't eventuate quite as we planned, but we're starting to see that happening now. So in this next year, we think a lot more of that's going to happen in the next year, and so that will build from there. I guess our learnings about the course was it was probably too much too quick. So what's happened in the last year and what will happen next year is we just continue to go back to the core content from the course, and we just continue to keep reiterating and building on it. And, you know, we invite people to keep going back to it when they're working on their environmental market plan. So as Claire said, it's worked really well for some. Those some who are busy, who don't necessarily want to get together, some who are really remote, have said they really value the online learning. They completed it, you know, within a couple of months. And then others have said, you know, is there a way we could get together to do this learning? So I think in the future, it's about having a combination of all of the things, but ultimately the content that's been created can just be adapted. So you can have your online course, you could have a face-to-face course, and you could have other modalities using the same content, but just having different options for your different clients. Yeah.
Thanks, Meaghan. York, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I have just one question. In your process, sort of in the training or the program, there was one step that farmers or landholders were doing their own accounts, natural asset accounts or accounting for nature, if you like. Now, did they learn how to do that during the course, and did they do it themselves? Did you have a methodology that they were given, or did they do it with external help, consultants, and had to pay for it or something?
Yeah, great question, York. So undertaking natural capital accounts wasn't part of the program or the course. So I guess the reason for that is that the program is coming from the environmental market side and saying what are what potential natural capital assets and ecosystem services are you providing, and what environmental market opportunity do you want to tap into? And so you saw that great diagram from Claire. Not all of those environmental market opportunities will require a full natural capital accounting, natural capital accounts. And so I guess we don't want to send everyone down a route of doing, comprehensive natural capital accounting and accounts if they don't need to. We do in the course promote it and recommend it as a very positive way to achieve some market opportunities, but also for them just to better understand, manage and benefit from their own natural capital assets and ecosystem services. Basically, the program speaks to start with a general understanding. So there is a survey that helps them to go through and identify what are your natural assets, what are your ecosystem services, and what are your environmental services. And that's, quite comprehensive. But then it asks them to go to that step next, which is, well, what market opportunities do you want to pursue? And then when you have a sense of that, decide where you need to go in between. Claire, did you want to speak to any of that at all?
No, I think you've answered that fairly well, Meaghan.
Can I just follow up? So that means they were sort of doing it as part of their course and didn't necessarily need to have a great expense, sort of get an advisor in to assist you doing that, because that can be a disincentive for some landholders, farmers, if they have to fork out quite a lot of money to actually start doing it before they actually know whether they are going to enter the environmental market. I think that's often a disincentive, the outlay that you have to upfront before you actually know whether you're engaging in the market and have some return in it. And that's similar for the carbon market and soil health and so forth, where you have to fork out money for advisors and soil tests and so forth before you actually maybe in 5 or 10 years get some form of return for it. And that's always, I think, a difficult way, or it makes it difficult to get farmers into the program.
Yeah, and in in New South Wales, we're thinking of making that a free service for farmers, that you can get an LLS officer out onto your property to do like a base level assessment of your natural capital and opportunities, but it is not comprehensive like a natural capital account. So we haven't costed what that would be to our budget, but it's a lot less than like the $30,000 a farmer might need to do a full account.
Thanks, Claire, and thank you for the questions. Were there any more questions before we let Meaghan go? All right, speak now. Thanks so much, Meaghan and Claire, for your presentation to the group. It was, it's really interesting to get the overview and understand sort of where the program's up to, and particularly the opportunities for future delivery. So I'm sure I won't be the last we see of you. So thanks so much for coming along.
Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, everyone.